An exclusive tour of the BMW Welt or BMW World and the BMW Museum is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. We'll start with the BMW Welt, opened in 2007, one of the most visited sites in Germany, over 3 million visitors each year. You can take a look at the model ranges of BMW, Rolls-Royce, Mini or the BMW motorcycles. And you can also take deliveries of the cars there, coming over from the US, maybe even getting an M4, driving it on the German Autobahn, then getting it back here, shipped over to the US and you fly back. That's really happening, for example. We're going to take you on a tour of the BMW World. And then after that, also stay tuned for that, the BMW Museum. We're just going to enjoy the heritage and the history of this brand. So there will be a lot of places and cars to enjoy. Because here you can already see it in the mirror. The BMW Museum is the lower building and the higher one is the BMW 4-cylinder. And there's the headquarters next to the plant, of course, where the cars also are built. These are all the models that are built in Germany. And those buildings here, you see in the mirror, opened in 1973. But we'll start with the newer one. So here you can get an overview on the rear wheel architecture BMWs, the traditional style with rear wheel drive, 3 Series, bestseller, and also the 4 Series. If they get coupe or a convertible, then they have renamed it 4 Series, well 3 Series just before. And over there the blue car, a 5 Series Touring in the upper mid-size segment. And the flagship model, the 7 Series, has been renewed recently, and the great thing is here, no matter which car you see, 4 Series, 7 Series, a lot of the X models, for most of them you'll find reviews on Autogefühl. The smaller cars, however, they will have the front-wheel drive, starting with the basis version. We've also shown you the review of the new BMW X1. However, most customers will not have just front-wheel drive only, because they will pick it as an all-wheel drive here also with the X-Drive version. The same accounts kind of for the Grand Tourer, and there's also the Active Tourer, the little bit smaller model, the 2 Series Grand Tourer, a little bit bigger. That starts again with front-wheel drive, and the question is, of course, among BMW enthusiasts say, oh, you know, sacrilege, there's no rear-wheel drive anymore. But for customers in this target group, it might not make such a difference. And if you have the all-wheel drive, then this difference also dissolves a little bit. However, for a very sporty car, it can still, of course, play a huge role. And this is here the BMW i exhibition with the i3 and the i8. We'll soon show you that one as well. The i3 really has started some kind of a revolution, and BMW has invested massive amounts of money in the carbon fiber structure that's underneath here. And they're also using sustainable materials on the inside, for example from recycled materials. So they've really gone a very good way, and we can just support this sustainable way they're going there. And the price is approximately the same than of a Volkswagen e-Golf, for example. And the i3 has also recently been updated to have even higher electric range. However, this one here, the i3, is also offered with a range extender. That's kind of an additional motorcycle engine you can take for that car as well. Here, for example, the i3, what I really like about the car is that they use a lot of open cell, this matte wood. It feels really great. And also a lot of cloth on the seats. I'm not sure if this could be real leather still. I think they should on long term replace it with leather red then. But overall it's a totally different interior concept, more of a lounge style, and also for the rear passengers. It's a little bit strange that the rear doors here open in a transverse way. That's not, you know, too good when you, for example, let your children out when you get to school or something like that. That's maybe a little bit fail, but overall still it's something completely different and unique. Also from the driving experience, we've tested that one here on Autogefühl, of course, already. Who would have imagined that the top-of-the-line sports car from BMW, as you take it for the super sports cars, here with the BMW i8, comes with a 3-cylinder with 1.5 liter of displacement. No one would have thought that, but now it has become a reality. And although this has just a very small engine, combined with the electric power, the acceleration is 4.4 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers or 0 to 60 miles an hour. And design-wise, the most interesting thing is definitely that we got this flying C-pillar over here, where you can really reach with your hand in. So extreme dramatic from design. And one of the classic sports cars in the small or more compact area is the recent BMW M2 Coupe. 6-cylinder, 3 liters of displacement, 370 horsepower and rear-wheel drive. 19-inch rims here mounted, and I think this special color here comes close to those I love best. And I think if you go for M2, you should probably also stick with this color. Really good decision. Of course, this is also a real handling machine, as it's a rather short car and also just weighs about 1,600 kilograms. Even more spectacular would just be the matte finish of this blue M color here in the M6 convertible, but I think in this case I prefer the metallic look. Or what you think about it, put me your comments in the comment section. And of course I want to know which M BMW would you prefer? M2, M6, maybe here the M4 next to me, or also the M5, which is also on display here. What's the story behind the M logo, M for Motorsport? Then this one was originally the idea that it would be the same bright blue as in the BMW logo, but it's not 100% the case today anymore. Then the red for the racing red, as you can find on any racetrack of the world, at the curbs for example, and then in the middle the color, the mix between both colors on the outside. This is the mini part of the BMW Welt. And here we can have a good overview of how Mini has evolved, starting just with the normal classic 3-door variant here. This is, where the brand is coming from, also resembles the most to the very old model. However, there's also a 5-door version available. You can see it right here. We can also open the rear doors. And then a lot of more variations here. The dark red color. Of course, the Clubman you can also open from the rear in a very strange way still. There it is. So some really love it, others say, why should you go for it? But this is the unique thing here. And with the convertibles, the best way to enjoy sunshine, and also the best way, especially for our camera, take a shot at the interior of the current Mini models. Mini didn't also miss the crossover trend, therefore also the Mini Countryman evolved, and meanwhile has evolved as a car itself, and you've seen how big this whole model range has become. And if you want 218 horsepower and maybe also want to spend close to 50,000 euros for a Mini, it's also possible, or also works with the John Cooper Works hatch, or also as the convertible sports version. Maybe you've seen our full review of the Rolls-Royce Race, and this is the coupe of the Ghost, and the convertible of the Ghost would be this one here, the Rolls-Royce Dawn, the newest model. A really huge convertible, Spirit of Ecstasy, the figure in the front, and special thing is of course here as well, 21-inch alloys, by the way, chrome polished, that you can always get in the Rolls-Royce like this to have an easier entry. Of course, not in a narrow parking lot, but if you have enough space, then you can also get easily inside. About 44,000 colors are offered with Rolls-Royce, but the real number of colors that is offered is basically endless, because you can just get the color you desire. And the same also accounts for the interior. By the way, for the doors, I've shown you that one as well. There are always door buttons here on the inside, so you can, if you keep holding them, like this. Then you can also close and open the door electronically. You don't have to reach out for them. And particularly interesting with this model is, to me, the combination of wood here, and I would say you can take a closer look here at the rear. In the recent factory tour with Bentley, we've seen how that really works, and Rolls-Royce is using a similar technique, that you keep the symmetry in the wood panels, because the wood layers are very thin, and then you have, from one piece of wood more layers, and then you just have to flip them, and then you get this symmetry. And even those layers here, that's not only one piece of wood. You glue them together, but still keep the perfect symmetry. And this one here is open cell wood with a matte feeling, matte finish, and I really prefer it. And if you're, for example, a Rolls-Royce customer, just my advice: remember, it's not always about leather like it is here right now. That would be a very classic approach. Why not also go for a microfiber interior, or maybe a very high-class leatherette interior, as we, for example, also see with very expensive boats or yachts? Then it will be the more sustainable choice than the classic one. In this area here behind me, this is the place where the deliveries are taking place, and just 80% is still domestic cars here from Germany, and 50% is really from Northern America. So really great thing also for US customers. And therefore there's also one special thing, because if you drive your car here, a little bit around on the Autobahn, then you can also save in some of the states the luxury tax, which can be about 7-8%. So that might also just pay your trip right here to the BMW Welt. And the rest, 5%, is also from the rest of Europe. And you get your car right there, and then also can take the first round down there. And of course, if you like, maybe it's the final approach from you, and you can directly start driving, or you do this special trip just for Autobahn right here. And now we have switched buildings. We're in the BMW Museum, and this is how it all started, with engines for airplanes. And you see a lot of big displacement. You see how huge this engine is, with the rotor in the front, and also the BMW logo. You can see it right there. Now maybe the logo is representing a rotor of this engine. This one here from 1919, and before that, those engines have of course been used for war airplanes. For example, the Prussian military ordered 600 engines even before they were actually built. But then after the war, they were not allowed to build such big engines here anymore. They moved then on to some smaller ones. And the production of smaller engines then led to the first BMW motorcycle in 1923. And what is special about that one? First of all, the flat twin engine, and also the shaft drive, or also referred to caramel. You can see it here at the rear part. No chain is used, and that is still remaining until today, because you have less maintenance, for example. And a few years later, in 1929, this one is the very first BMW car. It's called the 315, as it has 15 horsepower. And this one here is the variant in red, but there's also another one that was used for the works itself. This one here is a replica of a very extraordinary place, the 328 Touring. This one was, for example, successful in Le Mans, and production year is 1939. And you can already see the characteristic BMW double kidney in the front here, with an additional headlight for night racing. 1955. This is maybe one of the most remarkable BMWs, the Isetta, and it was a collaboration, or with a design at least, with a design company that also was designing fridges. And that's also the reason why we have one front door here and no real second door. So you really access it from the front. And why did they do that, and why was this also very successful? Well, it was a very cheap BMW, and motorcycle production plunged in the 1950s, but car production rose. And there BMW could also score with that one. And another interesting story here is that also a motorcycle engine was used, so they could use the motorcycle knowledge and also the workers then more for the car production. The Isetta was originally a three-wheeler, but in Germany the regulation was a little bit different, as a classified car, it also had to have 4 wheels. That's also the version we see right now. The best seller of BMW is the 3 Series, and that is how it all started, with an extreme shark nose in the front, and you can see also the upper part hangs over the lower part a little bit, and we can see how that dissolves over time. So from the predecessor, this was the very first generation that was also called 3 Series, in this case from 1981. And next one here from 1986 in the convertible. Compare me and compare the car. We are at the same age. So which one looks better? No false answers here. So from 1986, the 325i. Then 1989, we're moving on to the next generation, which is then this one here. So it was second generation, third generation already in 1996. The green one, the yellow one, also still, but in a coupe style, 2-door with a compact, not that long of the car. Then we move on to the fourth generation, 1999, and you see, the further we go, see the shark nose has totally disappeared. The headlights are hidden behind glass. It has something to do also with passenger safety and of course with aerodynamics, that the wind can better flow over the car. And then here, the 5th generation, 2006. This one had these very characteristics, the horizontal fins above the double kidney, and you can also see that the double kidney, we also have shown you an interesting morphing with the 7 Series there once, has become wider and wider over the time. And the very current model we've earlier seen in the BMW Welt with the new GT model. One of the design icons, which are also my favorite from the form here, especially from the front, 1971, the 3.0 CSI. This has inspired also a lot of designers and came after this car definitely, and you can see still has this shark fin front, and also the coupe ending which has a little sharp corner on the inside. And special about these generations of the cars is also that you can very well look to the inside from the outside. And my favorite racing car here is the 3.0 CSL from 1975, because it has, you know, the most extraordinary M racing style color, and you can here also see about the colors here, how they originally looked in the M style. 1987 marked the year for this BMW Z1, and it's still also a very iconic car here today. And the special thing here with this car is not only it is very aerodynamically in the front, but also with the doors. It looks like it would have no doors at all, but they can actually be raised up. And this one here is also one of my favorite pieces, you know, Bond, James Bond, because in 1995, in the movie GoldenEye, James Bond movie, this car was used. I mean, it was like, because before only Aston Martins were used, and then came also BMW as a sponsoring, and everyone will say, oh, what the hell? But nowadays, this is also a very classic car, especially in this color, because it is also the very color that was used in the movie. And in 1999 was the Z8. And what is special about this car? Well, it's not that old, but it has this kind of vintage look. And that's also, you know, it hasn't been built that often, but still, if you see it right now, it's already now an all-time classic. Also look at that interior here. I mean, it has kind of, again, old style, vintage look, but so modern at the same time. I think there's not that often that such thing is reached. And this room here is kind of a story in a nutshell in itself, because this one is about the M sports model, starting here with the M1. And some might say, oh, it looks a little bit like a Lamborghini from those times. And the reason was there was also a collaboration from BMW and Lamborghini, and that was also influenced here with this car. And the most important M car, it was and still is today, is the M3 here from 1989, because this was a sports car that could also be purchased by rather ordinary people, and not only by, you know, true racing drivers who buy a sports car for the racetrack or something like that. And this story has been kept on till today, and I think this one, again, very timeless car with its design. So I hope you enjoyed this tour of the BMW World and also here of the BMW Museum. Tell me in the comments which one was your favorite car from the old one and also from the new ones. And if you would like us maybe to do a full factory plant tour here in Munich, then also put me those in the comments and give thumbs up for the video. And then we can maybe step a level further to this one. Thank you very much for watching Autogefühl. And I'm sure we'll see us at our next episode.